Alright, what's up everybody? I wanted to drop a quick little video sharing a little bit of game wisdom and I guess a little knowledge or a different type of perspective of outlook on relationships right now. As far as what people are doing and not doing when it comes to relationships, and it's crazy because everything else in life we've updated and we don't have a problem with it. It seems like, we love the new technology we have. We love all of the new transportation methods. We love the latest fashion, the new styles. We love all the new trends, and we are openly just accepting of updating our life in advancement of our life and everything in it. But for some odd reason, people in general still seem to cling onto an old, an old outlook on how relationships are and how they should be approached, handled, looked upon, and dealt with. And everything is just totally different now. Like the way we view relationships should be totally fucking different nowadays. We have social media for one. Social media makes it easier to get involved and in contact with someone from so many different places. It's like now you can be living here where I live at in South Florida and be having a whole, long distance relationship with somebody who live in California just because of how social media is set up. Everybody got pictures, videos. You can literally be a part of someone's life without ever being next to them for an extended period of time because of how social media got. So social media has made it a lot easier to date, socialize, to meet people, to connect. And social media at the same time, while it's been very beneficial, hell, I know people who got married from social media. So it's been very beneficial for dating, but then at the same time, it's been the most disastrous, source for failures in people relationships for so many reasons that, we all pretty much know nowadays. And it's unfortunate, but you still got people who cling on to the idea of in the old days. And the actuality is if we start looking at and dissecting our grandparents and great grandparents and even some of our parents, depending on how old we are. I'm 43, so and my parents are fairly young. I was the product of the teenage pregnancy, and even my stepfather, he's only like 20 years older than me, 21 years older than me. So far as with my parents, the gap isn't that big. But when we start dissecting the relationship of our elders that they had with the grandparents and the great grandparents, you'll find out that a lot of that shit was real flawed and real creep. Like they didn't talk to us about finances and bills and stuff, but grandma also didn't talk about all the affairs that granddaddy probably had. Grandma didn't talk about all of the dibbling and dabbling that she probably did in the process. I know quite a few people who found out, in their older years that, oh yeah, that ain't my real daddy. And they finding out that wasn't their real daddy when they was, in their 50s. And then you got some situations where people know from the jump, like that ain't our real daddy or my real daddy, but you just take it on the chin and live with it a certain type of way. But our elders had a lot of extracurricular shit that they never talked to us about, because back then one thing was for certain is that adult business was adult business. And kids, it was that saying a child should stay in a child's place. So the adults really didn't talk about their business amongst the kids. And then because these are the people who we loved and admired and sort of looked up to in a certain type of way, we just kind of never mind the shortcomings, I guess, and the things that they had going on. I know for one, like my grandparents, you can look at my grandfather and my grandmother, my dad, my biological dad, his parents. They were married at a young age. I think they was teenagers. My grandma had her first child around, between like 15 and 17. And I think it was like my grandmother and grandfather, I think they're about 3 or 4 years apart in age. And they had 7 kids together. But grandma, those the only kids grandma had. But granddaddy got like, about 6, 7 other kids that we know of, and 3 or 4 of them are like the same age as his youngest 3 with my grandmother. Everybody is family and we love everybody, but if you didn't know, you didn't know type of thing. I mean, when you get older, you be like, okay, god damn, granddaddy was a wild boy type of thing. But you never know what grandma had to go through when she was in the midst of that relationship. You don't know what grandpa was doing or did that she knew about, found out about, or just kept her mouth shut about. And I mean, you don't know how happy people was or wasn't in those relationships. And then people talk about the old way of how the men took care of women. I'm like, well, y'all need to do some research, because as far as I've known, women in my culture, black women, have always had to work, it seemed like. And even, I mean, when they didn't, it was a different type of handle when it come to that. It wasn't too many women in the country that was graced or blessed with the having a man who was the type of earner to the point where he could essentially take care of everything in the family, and she had the luxury of staying home. So, and I mean, even some of the people who did have the luxury of staying home still got out there in the workforce and did what it do. That was just, how some people live their life. But too often now, people will be thinking that, gauging their relationships on a relationship that they thought existed, 60 years ago, or how relationships existed 60 years ago. I mean, one of the old ways of how relationships came about was, people were finding they mate, they life partner within a handful of years after high school. And I mean, in actuality, that was the sign of the times. Men thought of that shit the same way. A man would graduate from high school and he wasn't thinking, oh man, I'm finna be out here running these streets until I'm, 30, 35 years old. Then I'm gonna look to settle down. No, he was just like, man, I gotta find my wife and start me a family. He was 18 and he was like, yeah, man, I gotta find me a suitable mate by the time I'm like 23, so I can lock down, start my family. It was almost like a known thing. You don't want to let these women roam free for too long, man, because it wasn't even like you was worried about, it wasn't no idea of that, oh, she just gonna be ruined. It was the idea of, man, somebody else might get her, and that should be over with for me. Then I have to, go seek and find again. But at the same time, like I said, men was picking from the women in their environment, the women in their neighborhood. Travel wasn't the same. Communication wasn't the same. Money wasn't the same. You feel me? Our grandparents graduated high school, and if granddaddy didn't go to the military, chances are he was going to be, working in the city that they grew up in and stuff. So your pickings was of the people who in your city. Nowadays, kids can graduate, you can go to the military, go anywhere for college. College is so affordable now, and there's so many of them, there's so many options available. And then upon graduating, hell, you got kids who, might be social media sensations and stars and shit like that. So it's like you have such a broad reach nowadays when it comes to people dating and stuff like that. And then just the nature of everything, the nature of the music. I remember doing a short TikTok video talking about the nature of the young people and their music nowadays, and how it's non-existent of R&B music, and that's like really killing the way young people handle male and female, because they like all savages now and they move as such. But I mean, it's an eye opener. Some of the things are good because now people tend to, I guess, date more and try to learn themselves, work on themselves, understand the opposite sex and stuff. So I mean, in that aspect, it's getting better. But then on the flip note, we all need to be, I guess, very conscious of where we're at in the world today, as far as dating and the update that has to come along with that. I mean, you got people now. I mean, shit. I can't tell you how dating in the '70s was, because I wasn't dating in the '70s, but I remember growing up in the '90s and being a young man starting to date is like the highlight of your day or night was talking to your lady on the phone all day, falling asleep on the phone with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or whoever you liked and shit like that. That was the highlight of your dating life. Now you get people who is just like, yeah, don't call me. I don't like to talk on the phone. And it's like, you don't like to talk on the phone. It's like they want first dates to be, in another country now. A chick could get on the plane with you and fly out of the country on the date, then to, talk on the phone with you and meet me at a local, bar, or restaurant, a diner, or a club, or lounge, or something like that. And we just, talk to each other, converse, learn each other. So it's different now. You can literally go out on dates, plan trips with somebody, and have a whole situationship going on without ever like really picking up that phone and physically talking to that person. Hell, I got homeboys who would tell me, they was like, hey, yeah, man, in person, shit, I ain't really too good in person when it comes to putting down and talking to women, but hell, on that DM, on the text message, I'm a beast. So if I can get from the DM to the phone, then he's like, yeah, man, I'm gold. I got the Midas touch. But if I see him out in person, just that initial contact and then that engagement, that should be totally different. And I mean, I get that. It's like that with a lot of people. I guess you just kind of got to, as a whole, learn how to, I guess, ride the wave with the times, the good and the bad. You got to learn like what you need to cut out and how you need to cut shit out when it comes to social media. Learn to use it for your advantage. Learn to not get engulfed in it, because that shit is like a whole drug in its own. It's a whole nother beast. That social media shit will, boy, look at here. It's just a whole nother beast because it gives a whole nother level of access in every aspect in life. Whether it can be so beneficial for you in business, and it can be detrimental too in business, depending on how you use it or somebody else use it. Relationships, like I said, you can make that first contact and initiate contact and engagement with a woman through social media with the greatest of ease. And at the same token, you also can be in competition with 100 men for the attention of the same woman, just because the same way you see her and engage, somebody else might be seeing her and engage, and you may be inviting her out to, let's go on a little, little link up at the little diner or a little lounge locally, and another dude might have got them shot her some money on Cash App and bought some tickets to Vegas for the weekend. They were like, hey man, let's go and get to know each other out there while we hanging out. So, I mean, it's a crapshoot nowadays, but you definitely got to be ready, willing, and able to update the whole process of dating. And it, for whatever reason, people are still kind of dragging their feet when it comes to updating how we view dating. And it's a big topic, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be talking about this shit a lot more on different videos. But it's a thing that's like never ending, and that's pretty much one of the biggest problems in people's lives now, is dating and their lack thereof, or just the tragic roller coaster that involves dating. But just gotta keep your I guess your heart open and update your mentality when it comes to, I guess, all of the I don't know what word I'm looking for, but update your mentality when it comes to everything that involves modern dating and relationships.